If you're into Street Fighter 6, get ready, because today's video is for you. There are several new games coming out that will get any fighting game fan hyped. Some follow the same technical and competitive style, while others bring totally different ideas, but with that same intense combat arena energy. So grab your controller and come with me, because these 10 titles might just be your next obsession after Street Fighter 6. I'm Matthew, and the video starts right now. If you're one of those people addicted to Street Fighter 6 who loves the drive rush, the insane combos, and that constant pressure, stop everything right now, because Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is going to blow your mind. Developed by Arc System Works, the masters behind Dragon Ball FighterZ and Guilty Gear, this game brings Marvel heroes into a 4 vs 4 tag team format that starts 1 vs 1 with assists and escalates into total madness with wall breaks and stage transitions. It's like they took the best of SF6 and mixed it with the chaotic chaos of MVC, but with a more accessible touch for those who want to jump into the fray without being a pro player. What hooked me immediately was the combat system. All 4 characters on the team share a single vital gauge, so every tag or assist choice counts big time. You start with a point character and an assist, like a projectile or anti-air depending on the slot, and unlock the rest by dealing damage or smashing the opponent through the wall to change arenas, like the Savage Land or the X-Mansion. The controls are intuitive, with lights, mediums, heavies, and a unique attack for each hero, like Captain America's shield or Iron Man's repulsors, plus EX moves and ultimates that chain across the whole team. The roster revealed so far is jaw-dropping. Captain America, Iron Man, Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan stretching all over, Spider-Man, Star-Lord with blasters and explosives, Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes driving like hell, Storm controlling lightning, and Doctor Doom with crazy magic. There are 8 confirmed, mixing icons with obscure picks, promising more at launch with DLC. Imagine building a team with Spidey and Storm for endless aerial raves. It's the kind of variety SF6 envies. Compared to Street Fighter 6, Tokon is a tiny bit slower for precise combos, but with assists and tags that create infinite pressure, like Drive Rush on steroids. It has a crossover to counter blocks, combo breakers that can be reflected, and an assemble gauge for chain supers. It's not the hyperspeed of pure DBFZ, but accessible for newcomers with simplified inputs, and deep enough for the FGC to grind. I'm already salivating for the closed betas this December. Visually, it's pure anime in the ArcSys style. Iron Man with a mecha vibe, epic shonen voices, and iconic Marvel stages that change mid-fight. It drops in 2026 for PS5 and PC with full crossplay, no Xbox or Switch. After years without a top-tier Marvel fighter, since Infinite, this is redemption. And with rollback netcode already in the betas, online is going to be smooth. Seriously, if SF6 won you over with modernity and the drive system, Tokon is the next level for fighting fans who want superhero teams. I can't wait to test cross-team combos and climb the leaderboards. Run to wishlist this on Steam or the PS Store, because this is going to dominate 2026. If Street Fighter 6 hooked you with that sharp drive rush and relentless pressure, stop everything and take notes. The new Virtua fighter, or VF6 as everyone is calling it, is the martial realism that will make you sweat in a whole new way. Developed by Ryuga Gotoku Studio, the guys behind Yakuza, this is the first original VF in 20 years, featuring pure 3D combat with no superpower frills, just punches, kicks, and grappling that feel like a 70s kung fu movie. They are reimagining the series for consoles and PC first, with a single-player story and insane visuals that zoom in on whiffs and show real body damage. The heart of the fight is break and rush. You accumulate damage on specific body parts of the opponent, like an arm or leg, until you break them and gain a rush for guaranteed combos that carry over to the next round. There are parry stances, large post-punish danger states, and an 8-way run with timed sidesteps acting as parries for insane evasion. It's classic VF, but evolved for fast mind games without silly comeback mechanics like bursts. Compared to SF6, it's more grounded. No splashy drive impacts, but spacing and reads that punish spam and reward patience. The roster starts with a redesigned Akira Yuki, more realistic, less anime, Wolf Hawkfield the Brute Wrestler returning, and the newcomer Stella with fluid moves that were already shining in the trailers. Expect about 20 chars at launch, mixing vets like Jackie, Sarah, and Kagemaru with unique styles. Muay Thai, Judo, Ninjutsu, all without projectiles, focused on brutal close quarters. Imagine the chaos of teched throws and wall crouches against grabs. Gameplay is simple on the controls. Basic punch, kick, guard, but deep as VF has always been, with backdash cancels and fuzzy guards for high-low mix-ups. No crazy Tekken launches, but staggers and crumples that lead to cinematic punishes. It's accessible for SF6 casuals, but the FGC will be grinding frame data for months, and with rollback netcode in the plans, online will be gold. Visuals? Absolutely cinematic. Real-time facial damage, training stages that evolve, and camera transitions that give an authentic Street Fight vibe. It drops in 2026-2027 for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. No simultaneous arcade release for the first time, with betas and reveals at TGS 2025. After VF5 Ultimate Showdown, this is the rebirth the series deserved. Seriously, SF6 fans, VF6 is the antidote to the flashy. It forces you to actually read your opponent, with break systems that change entire rounds. I'm hyped for the betas. It's going to be the 3D fighter that competes with Tekken 8 and brings realism to the mainstream. Wishlist it now and practice your spacing. If Street Fighter 6 won you over with that constant pressure, drive rush, and the modern way of comboing, you need to know Invincible VS. This is the new brutal 3v3 tag fighter from the Invincible universe, full of blood, bone-breaking, and crazy superpowers, where you build a team of 3 characters and make quick swaps to create infinite skull-cracking combos. It's like Marvel vs. Capcom with a much more violent vibe, but with mechanics that will surprise you, especially for fans of intense combos and modern gameplay. The beat here is fast, light, medium, and heavy, with superpower specials activated with a single button, no complex motions, Smash Bros. Style, which makes it easier for beginners, but adds depth with meter systems, push block, and assist breakers. Combos are short and lethal, but you can extend them with active tags, switching characters mid-combo to continue the beatdown. There are ground bounces, wall splashes, cinematic super moves, and even auto combos for people who want to get into the groove quickly. The vibe is Street Fighter with the face of a bloody anime, but with the timing and flow more reminiscent of a VF or KOF. The roster is a slap in the face for anyone who loves Invincible. Invincible, Omni-Man, Adam Eve, Battle Beast, Bulletproof, Rexplode, Thula, Robot, Lucan, and many more. There are about 15 to 20 heroes and villains confirmed for launch, each with their unique style. Zoner, Rusher, Grappler, and superpowers that change the fight. Imagine building a team with Omni-Man for pressure, Eve for aerial combos, and Robot for area control. Each character has their own assist and a super that blows everything up. The story is there for single player, with arcade mode and local online to grind competitively. And the best part? Rollback netcode, so online will be smooth. The aesthetic is super striking with cinematic animations, lots of blood, and impact effects that show every broken bone, as if you were watching the anime live. The visuals remind me a bit of SF6 in certain movements, but with more gore and a more mature tone. If SF6 hooked you with its modern flow, Invincible VS is the next step. It's accessible, fast, violent, and full of mechanisms that reward timing and team synergy. I can't wait to see the first combo compilations going viral on YouTube. This game is made for those who like to beat down until the opponent actually stays down.
I'm just getting started. Coming through.
Ready? Let's begin. This will hurt. Neutralize.
I'm just getting started. Coming through.
My plan was not to hurt you, but I come prepared for any contingencies.
We're going nowhere. Beat down. Let's wrap this up. Oh, you did your best.
If you are a fighting game fan and want something different, even if it isn't the most polished game in the world, Avatar Legends: The Fighting Game is worth checking out. It's an anime-style 1v1 featuring classic characters from the Avatar universe, moves unique to each element, and a fast-paced game feel. But it's also full of limitations that might leave the hardcore fighting game fan a bit frustrated. Even so, as a fan of fighting games and the Avatar universe, I think it has a charm that deserves a test. The combat system is very direct. Light, medium, and heavy attack buttons, and a button called Flow that serves both as an auto guard against attacks and for special and evasive moves. Each character uses Flow for individual style movements, like Aang flying or Korra using the polar bear dog. And there is support from characters that influence the fighting style, like Appa or Naga. The system is very visual and creative, but it doesn't yet have the depth for FGC levels, being more accessible for newcomers. The initial roster has 12 characters, with Aang, Katara, Sokka, Zuko, Azula, Toph, Korra, and a few more, bringing characters from both series. The idea is that the roster will grow over seasons, with new skins and characters arriving post-launch. Even though the number of special moves is limited, each character has 3 specials and 1 super, the animation is well done and pays homage to the style of the cartoons. The aesthetic is hand-drawn 2D, and the visuals harken back heavily to the original shows, which is a big plus for those who enjoy the classic aesthetic. It's arriving in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Switch 2, and PC, with crossplay across all platforms, so you can play with whoever you want, regardless of console. The single-player campaign is there, but the focus is clearly on online PvP, with combo trials and gallery modes. Rollback netcode is a positive point, but the game is simple. No long progression journey, character evolution, or crazy upper-tier mechanics. The system grows more through the story and the roster, not through the raw power of the characters. I believe that, even with its limitations and simplicity, Avatar Legends: The Fighting Game is the best Avatar fighting game to date, with creative mechanics and the soul of the fans. It's worth trying, especially if you want to play with iconic characters from the universe in agile and visually enchanting combat. Hyperfight 2 is that type of fighting game that, even being super simple and clearly limited, becomes an addiction really fast. And you need to know it if you enjoy experiences different from the standard Street Fighter Tekken. It is a very minimalist 2D fighter where the golden rule is there is no block button. No holding back and turtling. Here you live and die by mobility, reads, and courage. This no block proposal makes it clear that it's a game designed for quick rounds, constant tension, and lots of laughs. Or tilt when you take a silly hit to the face. The central idea of Hyperfight has always been to tie the resource system directly to the win condition, and 2 takes this to the next level. Instead of a traditional life bar, you play for round points. Usually it's 5 points to win, and these same points are the currency you gamble to unleash specials and supers. Want to use that absurd move? You literally bet a victory point. If you win the round, you recover what you risked. If you lose, besides the point lost for the round, you also burn what you invested. It's a brutal risk-reward system that makes every decision heavy. And this compensates a bit for the fact that the game is super lean. The fact that there is no blocking completely changes your mindset. Instead of thinking about solid defense, you think about, how do I not be there when the hit comes? Invincible dash, air dash, jump, hyper hop, constant repositioning. The heritage of the first Hyperfight is clear. 2 main actions, attack and special super, plus a huge focus on movement as defense. Hyperfight 2 expands this with more normals per character, neutral, forward, back, and down plus attack guaranteed for everyone, which gives way more nuance to spacing, whiff punishing, and pressure even in such a simple system. The characters follow that line of a small but memorable cast. The fun is that each one is a well-defined gimmick. There's the basic House Shoto, the character focused on screen-filling projectiles, the super-fast melee type, the set-play weirdo who fills the field with strange hitboxes. In the original, there were already figures like Dr. Caro with gravity balls that lingered for several rounds, Reaper Angel with a scythe and teleport, and Dark Goto with aggressive fireballs. And the sequel promises exactly that spirit, only with broader movesets and new faces like Yo Yuna, who already appeared in a trailer abusing a yo-yo to control space in a very fun way. Now, speaking of limitations, Hyperfight 2 is clearly an indie project of short scope. The focus is PC via Steam, no big cinematic campaign, probably very basic single-player modes, arcade, versus, training, and an online that, given the scale of the game, tends to be functional but without all the amenities of the FGC giants. The minimalist concept itself pays a price. Those who like to learn a character for 300 hours might quickly feel the lack of layers, and the visual is simple pixel art without that impact of a Guilty Gear or SF6. It is a game much more about system than spectacle. Even so, it is precisely this focus that makes Hyperfight 2 so cool. It takes the essence of reading the opponent, positioning, and resource management, and clears everything else out of the way. It's the perfect game to put on with the crew that likes fighting games, but doesn't want to memorize 50 moves. You learn the rules in minutes and spend hours laughing, or cursing, at the insane turnarounds caused by a miscalculated super bet. So, if you enjoy a different fighting game with the courage to break the basic rules of the genre, Hyperfight 2 is an indie that, despite all limitations, deserves your attention.
Yo-yo attack! Come back! Come back! Come back! Yo-yo attack! Come back!
Out of my way! Out of my way!
Yo-yo attack!
Out of my way! Out of my way!
Yo-yo
Blazing
attack!
ring! Blazing ring!
Yo-yo attack! Come back!
Brawlers of the West is that type of fighting game that looks a bit janky at first glance, but after a few minutes, you're laughing, cursing, and wanting to play just one more. It's a physics-based fighter set in an Old West saloon where everything is kind of clumsy, but that's precisely why it's so much fun. Here, it's not about millimeter-perfect combos and frame data. It's about a poorly connected punch that sends a guy flying onto the pianist and a bottle smashing over everyone's head. Even with clear limitations, it's one of those indies worth the experience. The big differentiator is the realistic physics-based combat. You have different types of punches, kicks, and grabs, and the game calculates impact with active ragdoll at all times. If you miss the angle, the hit grazes. If you hit flush, the character crumbles in front of you. You can pick up bottles, chairs, and other objects from the scenery, swing and throw them at enemies, with weight and speed influencing the damage. So, more than memorizing buttons, you start thinking about distance, timing, and positioning, which is very unique for a fighting game. The saloon setting isn't just decoration, it's part of the chaos. You can accidentally hit the bartender or the pianist, throw the opponent onto tables, break chairs, and turn everything into a general mess. This has two sides. On one hand, it's hilarious and gives that movie bar brawl vibe. On the other, it makes the game less competitive and more of a party game, because sometimes the physics troll you hard. If you're into something more serious and clean, this might bother you. But if you get into the vibe, it's gold. The characters have different stats. Some take more beating, others hit harder, others tire less, which changes the way you play quite a bit. It's not a huge roster, nor full of super elaborate exclusive moves. It's more about types of fighters within the same physics sandbox. This is a clear limitation. If you come expecting the variety of a Tekken or a Street Fighter, you will be disappointed. But if the idea is to sit down with friends and see which cowboy will fly the furthest with a nasty uppercut, it works very well. Another limitation is the scope itself. For now, the focus is PC via Steam, with a demo and prologue showing only slices of what the game wants to be. There is no elaborate story mode, nor a giant package of modes. Basically quick fights, team matches against AI or other players, and that's it. It's that type of indie project that can still grow, but in its current state, it's quite raw. On the bright side, this also means you jump in fast, learn in minutes, and in half an hour, you've seen almost everything the game has, which makes it perfect for a short session between more serious games. Even with all that, Brawlers of the West has something that many big fighting games have lost: personality. The Old West theme, the crazy, physics, the entire saloon as a destructible arena, and the clumsy way the characters move create moments you won't forget. It's not the type of game to grind ranked for 200 hours, but it's perfect for laughing, recording absurd clips, and surprising those who have never heard of it. If you enjoy different, chaotic fighting games with a total focus on physics, this is one that, despite the limitations, you really need to know. Dnaversus is that type of fighting game that, even while clearly limited, screams passion project from a mile away. And for that very reason, you need to keep an eye on it. It's a 2D anime platform fighter made basically by a single dev, set within the DNA series universe, with everything hand-drawn and that independent production look that tries to bite off a piece of the space occupied by Smash, Rivals, and company. It launches in 2026 on PC via Steam, as the interlude between the first DNA game and the future DNA 2, so it's almost giant fan service for fans of the universe. Its vibe is very clear: platforming, percentage rising, fighting in arenas with multiple levels, and that positioning game to knock the opponent off the screen. It's not a traditional life bar fighter. It's much more about controlling space, using platforms to your advantage, and abusing each character's kit to extend combos and secure a kill. Being a solo project, you can't expect the precision of a Smash Ultimate in terms of engine, but the proposal of a hand-drawn anime platform fighter grabs attention immediately. One of the most insane points, and where the game shows way too much ambition for a small project, is the cast. The promise is to bring all 85 characters from DNA 1, plus new fighters that will appear in DNA 2, all inside a single fighting game. That means a gigantic roster, but it also makes a limitation clear. Balancing all of this alone is mission impossible. So you can already expect broken characters, weird matchups, and a somewhat chaotic meta, which might be bad for competitive play, but delicious for those who enjoy chaos and discovering cheese. Visually, Dnaversus embraces anime hard. Hand-drawn lines, exaggerated effects, particle-heavy moves, and that fan anime game style that looks more like a series in motion than a AAA title. However, like every solo project, you can see the polish won't go head-to-head with giants. Animations might be simpler on some characters, effects reused here and there, and menus raw. For those who enter for the aesthetic, this is still a full plate. But if you are very demanding with finish, this is a limitation you need to accept before jumping in. Another big limitation is the technical scope and modes. For now, everything indicates a focus on multiplayer, possibly even massive in marketing, but in practice, standard online, without talk of a giant story mode or elaborate single-player modes. As a solo studio title, there is always that doubt about netcode, server stability, and long-term support. There are no solid public details on rollback, for example, so those thinking about heavy competitive online might need to approach with caution and wait for tests and reviews. Even with all that, Dnaversus has that rare charm. It's one guy alone trying to create an entire anime universe and turn it into a giant platform fighter. The idea of gathering dozens of characters from the DNA franchise, with handmade art and a total focus on chaotic platform battles, is exactly the kind of thing that can become a niche darling if the community embraces it. If you enjoy different Smash likes, love auteur projects, and don't mind dealing with imbalance, bugs, and scope limitations, this is a fighting game that, honestly, is worth your curiosity and that immediate wishlist ad. Combo Devils is that fighting game that seems to have been born at a bar table between fans of Smash and fans of Guilty Gear. And that is exactly its charm. It is a platform fighter with an anime look, but with a big focus on combos, juggles, and neutral reading that is much more traditional than most platform games. Instead of being just another Smash clone, it really tries to bridge the gap between platform arena and classic fighter. And even with several scope and polish limitations, you can feel there is something special there worth your curiosity. The combat is entirely built on stylish combos and space control. You have fast normals, very flashy specials, and a juggle system that incentivizes keeping the opponent in the air as long as possible. At the same time, the percentage and ring-out scheme typical of platform fighters still exists. So it's not about emptying a life bar, but rather accumulating damage and finding the right opening to send the enemy off the screen. This creates a rhythm different from a Street Fighter, but still with that sensation of optimize your combo, use your resources right, punish mistakes. One thing I really liked is the idea of having a cooperative roguelite mode inside a fighting game. Instead of just arcade and versus, Combo Devils puts you and a partner traversing rooms, facing enemies, grabbing upgrades and modifiers that change your fighting kit. This is really cool for those who love fighting games but don't always want to stay just in competitive 1v1. It gives a way to enjoy the combat system in more casual and chaotic runs, with broken builds and situations very different from pure PvP. But this is where the limitations come in. Being an indie project in development, you can feel that a lot is still raw. The visuals are stylish but don't have that super fluid animation quality of a big AAA. The sense of impact sometimes lacks weight, and the amount of characters and stages is still quite reduced in public builds. The clear focus is PC via Steam, without any solid confirmation for consoles, and a lot is still marked as in development. So whoever jumps in now needs to accept they are getting something closer to early access in spirit, even if it's not officially marked that way. Another limitation is that, precisely by wanting to be a bridge between two types of fighting games, combo devils might sit in a strange middle ground for some players. Those coming from Smash might find the heavier emphasis on strings of moves and more technical combo execution strange. Those coming from traditional 1v1 games might find the platform mess, recovery, and edge guarding less precise than they would like. But if you enjoy experimenting with new things in the genre, this mix ends up being the big attraction. It is different enough to have an identity, even if it doesn't get everything right on the first try. In the end, Combo Devils is that type of project worth following closely. A stylish platform fighter, with traditional fighter DNA, a co-op roguelite mode that breaks the mold, and a combat base clearly made by people who love the genre. It isn't, nor does it intend to be, the next perfect competitive giant. It's more that indie gem you discover, bring to your friends, and spend hours testing crazy combos, builds, and setups. If you enjoy different fighting games and have the patience to deal with the rough edges of an evolving project, this is one that, honestly, you need to at least put on your wish list and test when you have the chance.
I'ma do shit my way, so you can go kick rocks. I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Yeah, I'ma do it my way.
Netcode Warriors is that fighting game that seems to have been made by someone who lives in a ranked lobby. Everything here revolves around competitiveness, minimal lag, and that feeling of feels offline even online. It is a 1v1 arena fighter with an anime look, full of dashes, jumps, cancels, parries, and cinematic supers, but designed from the start to be taken seriously, not just another licensed anime game. The setting is a datascape, like a digital world where the fighters are trapped, and this fits well with the proposal of being the game that literally carries netcode in its name. What grabs attention the most is how it tries to take the best of both worlds. It is an arena fighter, with free movement in 3D and a larger combat space, but with 2D fighterisms, meaning traditional fighting game fundamentals. It has motion inputs for specials, well-defined parry windows, strong pressure at close range, and combos that remind you more of an anime fighter like Guilty Gear than a Naruto game. The action is fast but readable, with attacks that have real weight and supers that shake the screen without turning into just visual clutter. The cast is not huge yet, and that is one of the current limitations. Few characters fully shown, but each with a very clear identity and design signed by artists who have worked on Digimon, so it has that official anime look, not fan game. Each fighter enters the arena with very personal motivations, trapped in this strange world where fighting is the only way out, and the game tries to support this with cutscenes, rivalries, and a story of overcoming trauma and chasing dreams amidst the brawling. It isn't narrative care rare in arena fighters, but you can feel the focus is still much more on verses than the cinematic story mode. Technically, the big trump card, and the reason for you to keep an eye out, is the real rollback netcode, designed for ranked, custom lobbies, tournaments, and even spectator mode. The goal here is to be the competitive arena fighter for the FGC crowd, and not just a game to play for 5 hours and drop. It came out on PC in June 2025, with full controller support and heavy focus on online. But for now, it's only Steam. No consoles yet, which greatly limits the reach and kills the potential to grow as the Smash-like of the group a bit. Another strong point is the amount of modes for those who want to stay on the grind. Arcade ladders, survival, combo challenges, full training, and tournament support, besides local split-screen versus. This shows a concern for respecting the roots of playing on the couch with the crew, not just ranked. At the same time, you can see it's a smaller studio game. Animations can still seem a bit stiff at times, and as an arena fighter, it runs the risk of being niche of the niche even while being well made. The prejudice against arena fighters in the FGC is still real. Even with these limitations of a small roster, absence of console versions, and the fact that it is a genre many people turn their noses up at, Netcode Warriors has something few games of this style have: clear intention to be deep, competitive, and technically solid. If you enjoy anime fighters, like the idea of a 1v1 arena with parries, motion inputs, and decent rollback, this is one of the few projects that really tries to speak to you as a fighting player and not just as an anime fan. It is very much worth putting on the wish list, following the updates, and, mainly, testing the online to see if it lives up to the name. Kingdom Heroes Arena is that type of fighting game that, even with a B project look, screams, if you enjoy Soul Calibur and 3D weapons, pay attention to me right now. It takes the Three Kingdoms universe of China and turns everything into a weapon dueling arena, putting Guan Yu, Lu Bu, and company to smash each other in one-by-one fights full of blade sparks, dashes, and counters. It's not Western AAA, it's not the new Tekken, but it is precisely this mix of Chinese game with a focus on weapon fighter that makes it a curious find for those who like hunting fighting pearls. The base of the combat is a 3D weapon fighter. You have free movement with side steps, forward lateral, distance changes, and that with punish game very similar to what people expected from a spiritual successor to Toshinden/Soul Calibur. The trailers and descriptions talk about powerful combos, weapon clashes, and a big focus on timing to parry and respond, instead of just staying and dial a combo. This gives a heavier and more tactical feel, where missing a big hit opens a giant window for the opponent to delete your health bar with a beautiful juggle. The protagonists are legends of the Three Kingdoms: Guan Yu, Lu Bu, Zhao Yun, and other historical warriors reinterpreted with that exaggeration typical of Asian fighting games. Each one fights with a signature weapon: giant spear, halberd, dual swords, bow, fan, and the fun is in how the weapon style completely changes your game plan. Absurd reach, short but explosive pressure, zoning with long hits, etc. There is community commentary even talking about weapon swapping or loadouts, which, if confirmed, opens a lot of space for variation within the same character, but also raises a flag for imbalance if not well thought out. Now, speaking of limitations, first, it is clearly a project focused on PC, and, by all indications, also on mobile/app store, which already turns on the yellow light of maybe it has simplified controls or focus on free-to-play. The game is marked as free-to-play, which is great for testing, but always leaves doubt about monetization, skins, passes, and the like. Another point, so far there is no clear mention of rollback netcode on the official page, which, for those of us who live on online today, is a big limitation and could kill the competitive potential if it comes only with basic delay netcode. The good side is that, even coming from a studio that isn't huge in the West, Userjoy of the Kingdom Heroes franchise, the guys are treating this as the big fighting game of the IP, exhibiting at major gaming events in 2025, reinforcing that it isn't pay to win, and selling it as the ultimate Three Kingdoms fighting game. This gives the feeling that, at least in content, they want to deliver something robust, a cast full of historical figures, polished visuals, cinematic moves, and possibly diverse modes for online and local PvP. But since the release date is still to be announced, everything is still a promise. And that in itself is another limitation. Nobody knows when this thing actually arrives. Even so, Kingdom Heroes Arena is exactly that fighting game that, if you enjoy 3D weapons and are tired of waiting for a new Soul Calibur, deserves to be on your radar. It might not have the polish of a AAA. It might sin in netcode or monetization. But the idea of turning the Three Kingdoms into a great ring of weapon duels, with sidesteps, flashy combos, and free entry, is too good to ignore. It is the perfect type of game to bring into your video as an exotic find of the fighting scene that, with luck, becomes the next cult darling of the crowd.